Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Adam, and welcome to How Do I Titanfall. This is a series where we'll focus more on how to be better at the actual mechanics of the game versus just quick tips here and there. So today we're going to be talking about the movement mechanics of your pilot in Titanfall. So a couple of things you should know right off the bat. This is not Call of Duty. You're not restricted to just kind of running around and halo jumps and things like that. This is a whole different game. And so you've probably seen a lot about the parkour and the different things you can do. And we'll kind of discuss that and how this really can affect your gameplay and make you a better overall player. So the first thing you need to know about Titanfall, and really if there's one thing you take away from this video over anything else, it's that this is a game of movement. And the way you move and the way you navigate the map matters more than almost anything you do in the game. Anybody can run around and fire their weapon and kill a couple pilots or some grunts or things like that, but the way you choose to move and the way you choose to navigate the map will really help set you apart from being a good player to a great player. Now, before we talk about any of the actual movement mechanics, I want to point out one thing, and that's controller layout. Usually this isn't that big of a deal in games, it's something that's kind of an afterthought, but in Titanfall, I absolutely suggest if you're going to be playing this game with a controller on Xbox One or Xbox 360 or even on PC, that you use the following layout. It's called bumper jumper. Now, the main reason I suggest this is typically your button to jump is going to be the A button on the controller. That means you're going to have to take your thumb off the stick, press A, maybe twice, maybe a few times in a sequence, and it's not really that beneficial unless you have like a scuff controller, which, I don't know, you probably do, you probably don't, who knows, there's a pretty large group for that. But the bumper jumper layout, as I'm going to put on the screen here, uses the left bumper to jump versus that A button. And honestly guys, when I tell you that this is the easiest, most efficient way to do it, I mean it. It feels perfectly natural with a controller to use this versus, say, like throwing a grenade or something like that. I honestly wouldn't use any other button for this unless you have a scuff. But even then, I just like the way this feels when you play. So definitely I suggest trying that out first. So let's get into the mechanics. So first thing you'll probably realize as soon as you get into the game is the double jump. It's pretty simple. All you need to do is press the jump button twice. Obviously your best bet on this is to go ahead and jump the second time at the highest point of your first jump. You're going to get the most out of it like that, just like any video game. The second biggest mechanic you're going to utilize is wall running. Now, wall running is important for a couple of reasons. Number one, you gain momentum that way, meaning you actually run faster on the wall than you do on the ground. And number two, you can actually extend the length of your jump, meaning you can jump further because you have that additional momentum. So wall running itself is very easy to do. All you need to do is be sprinting. You need to jump towards a wall at like a 45-degree-ish angle, and it's contextual based, so it's going to automatically pick you up and start moving you along the wall. So these mechanics really are pretty useful in a lot of different situations in Titanfall. Some buildings, for example, are spaced apart to where you can't double jump across them, but if you get the ability to wall run and then double jump, you can. And I'll try and show you guys a good example of that. And really just the speed in which you're going to move across the map at that point is so much faster than you just sprinting across the ground. Now granted, you do have unlimited sprint, but if you take 7 seconds to sprint the same gap that you can double jump wall run in 2 seconds, I mean, you're saving a lot of time there. And so that's a big part of that as well. So these mechanics really are going to be pretty core in the way you play the game. If you're not doing these in opportunities where you could or can or would get an advantage in doing so, you're not playing Titanfall right. I've seen lots of bigger YouTubers post videos where they're just running around the whole time like it's Call of Duty, and that's not the way you should be playing this game. You shouldn't approach it like the same thing, because it's not. Wall running, jumping, sprinting, double jumping, all of those things are going to be your best friends in this game. Now let's talk about some of the uses in this. Not only is map navigation going to be the biggest part of how this plays into what you do, but there's a couple of key situations where this is going to give you a specific advantage. Number one is rodeoing Titans. That's where you jump on the Titan, you open up their little back plate, and you just shoot them in their cores. That's really my preferred way to take down Titans. It's so much fun, but you're not just going to get there every single time by luck or by just jumping around and hoping you land on them. You need to plan things out, and so if you can wall run over to a double jump and you can land on the back of a Titan, that's perfect. Or if you see a Titan coming your way and you just want to double jump off wherever you are, again, perfect. So that's one situation where it really helps. Now there's another mechanic to the wall run that's very limited use in my opinion, and that's called the wall hang. Now this stops you dead in your tracks if you hold down the ADS trigger, the left trigger, as you're wall running. So, and you just literally hang there. The benefit is you can stop what you're doing and you can shoot at people, but you can't aim down sights because you're hanging off the wall with one arm. So it really is very limited use. There are definitely situations where I could see where it would be helpful, or it can help you in a tactical situation, but it's not something you should be trying to do constantly unless you're trying to do like a funny video or a challenge or something like that. So just keep in mind you have that ability, but it's not the greatest thing to do. It stops your momentum and it stops you from doing what you were doing. And it's not permanent either. At some point you do fall off the wall. So the final thought for you with these movement momentum kind of techniques is to make sure that you're using this to your advantage. The one thing you don't want to do is just run around and jump and do crazy stuff for the sake of it. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help you get better. It doesn't help your team. It just makes you a target for the enemy. So make sure if you're using this, you're using these to your advantage. Get around the enemy. Go behind them. Find the spawn. Things like that. And once you master the parkour techniques and the movement and the momentum in this game, I'm confident you're going to be a better player than you were before you started. And not just because of the experience, but because you're going to think differently about the way you play the game. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of How Do I Titanfall. If you did, leave a comment and a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And give me some feedback on what you think about the series. Once again, I'm Adam, and you guys take it easy.